Good evening, everybody, and welcome to America Votes 2012 here on CUTV and WCUC 91.7 FM. I'm your host, Matt Knaler. We'll be providing comprehensive election night coverage here on CUTV and WCUC for the next 4 hours from 8 p.m. until midnight. A full team here tonight. Mike Friend is co-hosting with me tonight, the features editor from the Clarion Call. He'll be giving you all sorts of information on the races tonight as well. We have a full team of analysts, and we'll first start with the gentlemen to my left. Here we have Greg Jacobs and Thomas McConnell from Face the Campus on CUTV, and John Owens from The Rundown on WCUC. Gentlemen, good evening.
Good evening.
I want to thank you all for being here tonight. It is going to be a very long night here, and we're prepared, and we have so much to talk about. We have a lot of results incoming now. Again, a lot of states have closed from 7 and 7:30 on. Of course, parts of Florida divided up right now between the eastern and central parts, the eastern and central time zones. They both have now closed, so we're waiting on some early results from that, exit polls as well. Guys, let's talk about what we know so far. Mitt Romney leading the electoral vote count 49-3 from the states that closed prior to 8 o'clock over President Obama. Again, 49-3 is what we know right now. Greg, take us through what we know so far, again, through the presidential race. 49-3, Mitt Romney. Give us your early thoughts.
Well, actually, as you were talking, it actually just now changed. Barack Obama is actually up right now, 79-71. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong camera. Barack Obama's up 79-71 right now. It's gonna be a close night. It's gonna be a long night, and there's gonna be a lot of deciding factors. I know that right now, Florida is one of them, Ohio is one of them, and Pennsylvania is one of them. Last election, Obama had Pennsylvania. And this election, it might not go that way. There's a lot of people who feel that Romney's going to get it due to the fight on coal, and because of that, I feel like Mitt Romney's going to pull it out, and we'll see tonight. It's going to be a very close night.
We've seen 4 battleground states so far, Thomas. Again, 4 battleground states have closed: Florida, Virginia, and North Carolina and Ohio prior to 8 o'clock. Give us your thoughts on what we're seeing in some of these early polls. Again, Mitt Romney leading the Electoral College 49-3. Give us your thoughts, Tom.
Well, like Greg said, there were a few more that came in for Obama. Connecticut, Maine, both in those in that poll. But I think with Ohio and Florida, they're both going to be, in there. We're not going to find out those till the last, I think. Mm-hmm. And I've been looking. There was a couple. I think CNN was the one that reported that some of the early voting that came in from some of the Ohio counties that are primarily Democrat, they're noticing that some of the voting rates are down a little bit in some of the Democratic counties. So that we'll have to see what happens there, because I know on Sunday they had Obama in the lead by a very slight margin, within the margin of error though. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Ohio goes. But I know a lot of people are saying that Romney needs Florida, North Carolina, and Virginia to even have a chance to winning the election. So we're definitely going to have to look at Florida and Ohio too.
John, give us your thoughts again. We've seen a number of states close early. Pennsylvania just closed here at 8 o'clock. We've talked about everything involved here with Pennsylvania so far. Some of the things anyway Greg alluded to a little bit earlier with the war on coal. Give us your thoughts. How do you think Pennsylvania is going to turn out tonight?
I think Pennsylvania, the big factor with Pennsylvania is going to be what the turnout is in the urban areas, in Pittsburgh and in Philadelphia especially. If Barack Obama, the president, can get the turnout in the Philadelphia area, that's what really helped him in 2008. If he can get that again this year, then he will most likely carry Pennsylvania. If he can't get the turnout in that area, then the rest of the state, which leans red, we may have an interesting night here in PA. It may be a long night. Also, we brought up Virginia already. The exit polls on Virginia are telling us that it is neck and neck in Virginia. If Mitt Romney loses Virginia, then it's going to be very tough for him to come away with this one.
We're going to be covering a lot of different races here tonight. We talked about the presidential race so far. We're also going to be taking a look at Pennsylvania's key races in the U.S. Senate and in the U.S. House. We're still getting to some of the early numbers in so far on the Tom Smith-Bob Casey race in the U.S. Senate. The main races we're going to be following tonight in the U.S. House: Pennsylvania's 3rd congressional district between Republican Mike Kelly and Democrat Missa Eaton. We're also going to take a look here, of course, in Clarion County. Clarion County is split between PA3 and PA5, Pennsylvania's 5th congressional district, between Glenn Thompson, the Republican incumbent, and Charles Dumas, the Democratic challenger. We're going to take a look at that race as well. Guys, give us some of your early thoughts here on Pennsylvania's races. Greg, we saw Bob Casey up in every poll so far. Do you think he has a clean shot tonight to win?
I think Bob Casey does have a clear shot to win. I think that the biggest reason why he has the best clear shot to win is because of his dad. He has the name recognition, which is phenomenal and helps him out a tremendous amount. But I don't know. I think that Tom Smith has a very good chance as winning as well. And I think that I really strongly feel that Pennsylvania is going to sway toward Romney, do with the war on coal, and deal with since there have been a lot of job losses in Pennsylvania in the last few years. I feel like that not only will people vote for Mitt Romney, but they're also going to vote for Tom Smith as well and stick with the Republican ticket. But Bob, I think Casey does have a very good chance of winning.
Take a look at the congressional races, Thomas. Again, we mentioned Clarion County splits between Pennsylvania's 3rd Congressional District and PA 5. Give us your thoughts on these races tonight. A lot of people predict the Republican candidates in those races are going to come out. Give us your thoughts.
I'm going to have to agree with that prediction there because, as you know, that Mike Kelly and Glenn Thompson, the sitting congressman, they both are running in pretty urban areas, with the exception of Mike Kelly has a little bit inching up there to Erie. Mm-hmm. But I know that they had a pretty easy time winning their seats the first time they were in office because they're both new. Glenn Thompson, he's running for his 3rd term, and Mike Kelly's running for his 2nd. Yeah, so I don't think that's going to be any issue for them to win because I know they ran, and anyone has to run a hard campaign, but their campaign wasn't even comparable to any other some of the races that we've seen, like the Tom Smith race that you guys alluded to. But I think they're pretty safe.
John, we're going to take a look at some of the other races tonight, the state races here in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania State Treasurer, Auditor General. Give us your thoughts on this. You and I have been talking a lot about the Pennsylvania State Treasurer race. You think Rob McCord has an edge there? Give us your thoughts.
I think Rob McCord does have the edge when you look at the Pennsylvania State Treasurer race. He has a lot of credibility. A lot of people are looking at him as a potential gubernatorial candidate in Pennsylvania in 2 years. Another race to follow, Auditor General Jack Wagner has reached his term limit, so that one is going to be between Eugene DePasquale. He's the Democratic candidate. I give him a slight edge in that one. Big race to pay attention to, however, Kathleen Kane and David Freed in the Attorney General race. And you may potentially have the first Democrat elected Attorney General tonight in the state of Pennsylvania. And so much attention on that because of Penn State, Jerry Sandusky, that entire investigation.
You take a look now, as you can see, some of the people voting here in Clarion Borough today. This is at Marwick Boyd Auditorium here on the campus of Clarion University. And of course, we're going to be bringing a lot of local results tonight as well. Kelly Perjelic from here from CUTV, she will be downtown live at the Clarion County Poorhouse actually in the park downtown Clarion, giving us results on a lot of the local races and to talk about how Clarion County is voting in the national and statewide races as well. So we'll be going to her later on throughout the night. Also tonight, as we mentioned, we're going to take a look at social media, everything on Facebook and Twitter. Jillian Hartman from CUTV's Entertainment Lately, and also a newsreader on WCUC. She'll be here to talk about everything going on social media, the instant reactions from not only here in Pennsylvania, but of course around the country. So we'll be talking about that all night. We're going to take it to our first break. When we come back, we'll take it to Mike Friend. He's with 3 other analysts. He will be talking about everything that Clarion County and people here in Clarion really want to know in this election and what matters most to them. Stay tuned. You're watching America Votes 2012 on CUTV and listening to America Votes 2012 on the WCUC.
Welcome back to America Votes, everybody. I am Mike Friend here, anchoring the second half of our coverage. Here joining me, we're going to start with the gentleman immediately to my right, or excuse me, to my left. We have Nick Ross in here of the Face the Campus with Matthew Knaler. In the middle here, we have Aaron Kurzinski. Aaron attended the Republican National Convention this year. And sitting on my far left here, we have Dylan Christofek. Dylan, a voice on the Rundown with Matthew Knaler. So some very politically savvy folks here with us tonight. Folks, we have basically Clarion County really in the heart of the Republican T, as they call it here in Pennsylvania. And Clarion students and locals really cast their ballots this morning. And they shared their views on the presidential candidates. CUTV's own Jillian Hartman was there and has more on this.
As Election Day is underway, many Clarion locals and students have put forth their opinions and concerns on which presidential candidate they believe makes the most suitable leader of the United States.
Best choice, as far as my opinion, is Barack Obama. I believe that he would put funding towards special education and Head Starts where we need it.
Clarion residents from the borough gathered at Mark Boyd, located on Clarion's campus, to cast their votes for the 2012 election, as well as Clarion students.
I'm a student here at Clarion University. My vote goes for Mitt Romney because not only will it help out my education along with my fellow students, but down the road when I'm getting a job and I graduate, you know, he's going to be the one that will help us succeed in the future.
I believe that if you have a good idea, it doesn't matter what political party that you are. It's just who you trust and who you believe will take care of you as far as a nation.
I'm Jillian Hartman reporting for CUTV News.
All right, folks, as you can see, Clarion County residents and students really have a vast array of opinions here. And analysts, what we're going to get to first is, with the presidential election in the state and all of the elections happening here, what do you think personally that Clarion County needs, and why is that the biggest need and the biggest issue? Nick, we're going to start with you.
Well, the biggest issue right now, and the fact of the matter is, that Mitt Romney has a pretty good hold on Clarion County right now. And a big part of that is the very successful campaign that Greg had alluded to earlier, the war on coal. And that's a big thing because in our area, coal is an industry that has a lot of historical implications, and it speaks to the industrial blue-collar nature of Clarion County. At the same time, Mitt Romney isn't really the candidate that many Republicans and many moderate conservatives were looking for, and so they tend to lean a little bit towards Obama, and you see that whenever you talk to them. Mitt Romney, they talk about the nature of him flip-flopping and some of the different things that he said in the debates that really strikes with them. And honestly, right now, I think Mitt Romney is going to win Clarion County. I think that's obvious on several levels, and I think the biggest factor there is the campaign for the war on coal.
All right, Aaron, you heard Nick, some of the biggest issues facing Clarion County in your opinion for this election.
Probably a lot to do with education, since we are a college campus and a college town. So I know attendance is down, so they need to look for more funding and things to try to get this college campus back, because if they're going to lose attendance, the economy might suffer because they don't have those coming into the restaurants buying groceries and stuff at Walmart. So
the economy, Nick says the war on coal. Dylan, what issue do you think is really you're hearing being vocal for this election in Clarion County?
You see, I see it going both ways, as both of them said. Clarion historically is very blue collar. We've noticed a little bit of a decline in that. We walk past the glass plant, we see it being torn down. That was about 300 jobs that went out 2 years ago. But Clarion, very historically, very blue collar, lots of jobs, lots of good work for hard-working people. But at the same time, that's no longer the reality of Clarion. The largest employer right now in Clarion County is the university. People get jobs there, people get training there. Clarion University, at least at this current point in time, is the future. And so really the most important factor for Clarion County probably should be focusing on this campus and making sure that it continues to succeed. As Aaron said, enrollment's down. We need to find a way to get that back, to get Clarion being more successful, and perhaps maybe open up, or maybe, go pro-business, try to get more people back into here. But since that's currently not the reality, it's definitely got to focus on education.
All right, analysts, really looking at this, Dylan kind of mentioned on our next question here, jobs really been leaving Clarion County, not a lot created. Both candidates really promising the jobs sector. Mitt Romney really hammering on the president about the lack of meaningful job creation. Do you think the county is going to go one way or another because of this lack of job creation in the specific area? Nick, we'll start with you real quick.
To be honest, I don't think that the numbers really speak to President Obama not creating jobs. However, that's a very important issue that many citizens of Clarion County are probably looking at. I mean, every poll shows that the economy is the chief issue whenever people are considering their vote. That's no different in Clarion County, and especially in our county where we've had the Sealy mattress plant closed down years before the glass plant did. The glass plant closed down. The cookie factory in Reimersburg closed down. It's now about to reopen. People see Mitt Romney as somebody that's able to create jobs. He was a business owner. They believe that he's going to be able to stimulate manufacturing jobs. As Dylan had said, as a college town, there should be a big focus on our college. Unfortunately, there's kind of a big discrepancy between the two kinds of people that live in Clarion County. There's the people that are pro-college and the people that are pro-manufacturing, and there doesn't seem to be much agreement between those two sectors. And so many times you'll see the divide of the college-oriented individuals will vote more liberally, in this case for Obama, and the people that are more in the blue-collar manufacturing jobs are going to go with Mitt Romney.
All right, Aaron, really, as a student, have you seen this, really the feelings of the university tries to do what they can with the community, but have you seen this, I'm going to say, polarization in the community between the university, I'm going to say, people that feel that it's beneficial to those who feel it's kind of a hindrance to the county?
I think that a lot of people, more so students and stuff, they do realize that Clarion is suffering, and they are voting more Romney just because they've had, they've seen all these jobs lost in Clarion. So they're definitely, Romney is a big push, but there's a lot of students who are voting Obama because of his fight for education and all of the policies he's implemented to better and get more funding out there for us.
Dylan, do you think really on campus, because of the policies presented by both candidates, do you see a stronger support for President Obama or for Mitt Romney, who really has opted to maybe scale back funding to education?
Absolutely, I see that. A lot of people on campus are very, very pro working with education, but I also see a different thing going on in the town. Not everybody who lives in town is necessarily a fan of the college students. I've heard that there have been some issues in town with kind of, what's the word for it? It's vandalism. Mm-hmm. And so there are some people that have been in the town who are not exactly pro-education and pro-university right now. I hear it's been particularly bad this year. I have no statistics on that, but I've heard through people who've gone to the borough council that this has become a real issue. And so there are people in town who are not looking at the university as closely as they should because they see it as more of a problem than a help to their community. And so, yes, on campus, definitely a lot more Obama support. There's some Romney support here and there. But in town, I'm definitely seeing a lot more of a push for Romney because the university is not seen as a benefit to them.
All right, folks. As Dylan alluded to, several instances in the township, or in the borough, being blamed on university students. Not necessarily always the case. When we come back from our commercial break here, we will have Clarion University President Karen Whitney here with CUTV's own Britt Seahall. Keep it here on America Votes 2012 here on CUTV.
Welcome back to America Votes 2012 for CUTV and WCUC-FM. I'm Britt Seahall, and joining us now is President Karen Whitney. How are you this evening?
I'm eagle-tastic.
All right, thank you for joining us.
Sure.
Now, starting with the early results of this evening, what are your thoughts and expectations as of right now?
Well, I think it's exciting. I think a moment like this evening really captures, I think, the greatness in our democracy. That all of us have gone to the polls. We've searched our souls. We've thought about what kind of government we want. We've really boiled it all down, walked in, and cast our ballot today. And I think it's a very exciting day. It's part of our great American culture to vote and to be actively involved in our politics, in our democracy. So I think it's energizing.
Definitely, and I think it's especially exciting for those first-time voters, especially some of the freshmen and also other students who it's their first year that they were registered. And by the same token, not a lot of students value their right to vote. How important is it to you that these students have involvement in this process?
I think it's hugely important because voting is a right. There's nothing that is guaranteed, and unfortunately we still have countries in this world where not everybody is able to vote. And I'm proud of our country. I'm proud of the United States of America that every citizen of a certain age can vote. And I think we need to embrace that, protect it, and be part of it. And so anybody, the first thing I'll say, anybody who didn't vote today, if you didn't vote, don't complain. And my hope is that you did vote and that you'll always continue to vote throughout your life, because I think that's the first thing about being a civil society is voting and being part of the governmental process.
I think that's very true, and that's something that some students overlook, but I think that one deterrent could potentially be for students the voting ID law. What are your thoughts on that law?
Well, with a lot of respect to elected officials, I've been very critical of that law. I think that one of the great things of our country is that when I go to vote as a university president, my vote counts just like your vote counts. Your vote counts just like my vote counts. They both need to be heard. They both have a right to be heard. And we need to be vigilant to always encourage voting and not to suppress it. And I do think anybody who attempts to defraud the system should be held accountable. But I think it often dissuades people and it suppresses the enthusiasm for voting by having these kinds of barriers to voting. So I am very critical of it, and I'm very proud. To my knowledge, no one from Clarion University, no student was turned away from our voting station here on campus. That was my commitment as president, was to ensure that we had a great relationship with the folks running the polling station and that no one was turned away. And I believe I've not received any report that anyone has, and so I'm pleased for that, because it's hugely important that everyone vote and everybody be encouraged and supported to vote.
It's nice that you had that support for the students in that respect. As president of the university, if Mitt Romney or Barack Obama is elected, explain the implications on higher education that could follow.
Well, both candidates are supportive of education. Both candidates, they share many similar values about understanding that to thrive in a global society like we have, that post-high school education is very important. Probably the differences might be what's the role of government in terms of supporting or advancing your education at the college level. Historically, Democrats have been more in favor of grants or aid that you don't pay for. Republicans have historically been more in favor of loans that you would pay back. So I think both are supportive. They have slightly different views on how they might approach that support to students. But that would be my general assessment. I think regardless, whoever's president going forward has a commitment to encouraging post-high school credentials, post-secondary credentials in a variety of ways, because there's a recognition that as we rebuild our economy and we move to reduce unemployment, increase employment, that being well prepared and whether it's at a technical level or at university level is extremely important.
Yeah, it is definitely encouraging that both candidates are in favor of the education system. Mm-hmm. And considering, this is an interesting factor, considering the split with the popular vote sort of leaning in favor of Mitt Romney and the Electoral College going towards Obama, what are your thoughts on that, how interesting that is?
Well, every 4 years I'm reminded about how I have to reacquaint myself with the Electoral College, which I have mixed feelings about, is it still relevant today? Certainly our founding fathers and mothers couldn't have anticipated the internet or the telephone or ways we communicate or cars or ways we transit around this country, or even how well educated people are today, that are some things I wonder may have prompted the installation of an electoral college. I go back and forth. I had a conversation today, and the person I was talking with about the Electoral College had a different view, that actually the Electoral College protects states that aren't as densely populated, more rural states. Again, the idea is, where's the balance in the democracy so that we all can, whoever is our leader as the president, that it's somebody that has earned our trust, has earned our confidence to lead our country. And not simply the trust or confidence of a narrow group of people. So I have mixed feelings about the Electoral College on does it continue to serve us or not. But it's there today. It's an interesting reminder of our civics lesson, and it's kind of, it'll be interesting to see if this is or not a situation where there's a popular vote or an electoral vote. I think it's actually too soon to know that. You know, certainly there are larger demographic factors in play with, you know, more people of color voting. You know, our demographics in our country is shifting, where we have more African Americans and Latinos voting in part of our country than European Americans. Also, younger people vote more. I mean, you've got a lot in play here that contribute to the electoral popular vote situation. But certainly, it's a fun thing to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. Now, switching gears to the state races, you know, half of the state senate is up for re-election.
Right.
What do you see happening locally? And if there is a shift in power, do you see more funding coming into the state school systems?
I don't know that there's a connection between the funding of higher ed and any particular party affiliation that I can see. I think it really breaks down more to individuals, and I think our state elected officials have a really tough job, no matter what party they happen to belong to, because the tough job transcends party affiliation. The tough job is you've got in the state of Pennsylvania many needs that historically state funds have supported. At the same time, we've been in an extended period of higher than usual unemployment. And also people's wages have not continued to grow as we've usually been accustomed to. So you've got, at the end of the day, fewer tax dollars coming in. So you have these tremendous needs that we've historically funded through state tax dollars, but we've had a reduction of tax dollars. And that's the challenge. I think, in fact, the elected officials I've met have real big hearts, and they love the Commonwealth greatly, and the struggle is to find that balance between, with limited dollars, where should those dollars go for the greater good of the Commonwealth?
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for your time, President Whitney. Now I'm going to send it back to Matt and Mike.